try, just taking life the way it comes. Like cold gifts.
Wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm Terry Rhoda.
This is Joanna Edwards.
I'm Don Eno.
This is Earlene Fisher.
I'm Jim Healy.
And I'm J.J. Jeffrey, and all of us at WLS wish you
Merry Christmas.
John and Yoko were still battling to see Kyoko. Ringo was making the occasional appearance on television, as well as completing Blind Man. George was editing the film and tapes from the Bangladesh concert, while Paul and Linda were preparing to take wings on the road to meet the people. The John, Paul, George and Ringo show is in full swing, and in the next program, we'll take an up-to-date look at the 4 individual careers of those people who originally started the Beatles story. The Beatles story was written and produced for the BBC by Johnny Beerling.
In a driftwood shack just a few feet back on the waves of the highest tide, far away from town, your Indian gown at the end of a getaway ride. Dream City is a one-story cottage with a population of 2. Dream City, I'm the mayor and the sheriff and the town's first lady is you. In an old rowboat with a little red rope, fish for the dinner each day. Paddle and soak, have a bottle of coke, or a sun keep shining all day. Dream City got no pollution, not a car, not a chimney inside. Dream City, what a nice solution, spend your days in the natural light. It's the real thing, like drinking coke when the sun is high, when your knee is dry. It's the real thing, Coca-Cola. It's the real thing, Coke is
The White Plains for Coca-Cola. At 11:53, this is Bob Conway, WLS News. At Research Hospital in Kansas City, doctors tonight say that death could come at any time for Harry Truman. Earlier this evening, Mrs. Margaret Truman Daniel, the former president's daughter, arrived from New York City. Correspondent Charles Murphy says,
I'm watching soldiers force women and young boys out of the building. Soldiers making this woman drop a sack that is loaded with... It would seem that Margaret Truman's arrival here in Kansas City would confirm speculation among newsmen covering this story that Mr. Truman may die at any time. Since about 10 o'clock this morning, the reports issued on Mr. Truman's condition have indicated that his bodily functions are beginning to fall apart in rather a bad way, and the treatments favorable to some of these are unfavorable to others, and that a balance just can't be achieved.
Newsman Charles Murphy at Research Hospital in Kansas City, where Harry Truman has lapsed into a deep coma. The president of Nicaragua, General Anastasio Somoza, says Managua will be rebuilt. Earth tremors, which destroyed much of the city on Saturday, continue today, and the government began dynamiting buildings which threaten to collapse. The death toll ranges from 2,000 known dead to an estimate of 10,000. Newsman Charles Murphy walked through what used to be downtown section of Managua earlier today. Murphy says that police seem to be especially concerned with looters.
I'm watching soldiers force women and young boys out of the building. Soldiers making this woman drop a sack that is loaded with parasols, it looks like. Others have sacks stuffed with goods. About 40 or 50 people have come out of this department store here. It's been just about carried away. There's a man coming out with a bolt of cloth. One man here has a doll, a big doll, 2 dolls. And the soldiers are making him put the dolls down, leave without them.
1,972 years ago.
And the Reuters news agency reported tonight that there was a strong aftershock in Managua, Nicaragua. There were no details immediately available. And here in Chicago, William and Barbara Lavery are experiencing some anxious moments. The Laverys are adopting a Nicaraguan baby. In fact, they were to have left for Managua tonight to pick up the child. But the earthquake which struck the city has changed that, and the Laverys are now awaiting news on the fate of their new daughter. American warplanes returned to the skies of South Vietnam tonight, hitting a communist truck convoy northwest of Saigon. But the U.S. command has no official word on whether the bombing of the north has resumed following an unconfirmed Christmas lull. Ground casualties this Christmas were the heaviest of the war. Navy aircraft have discovered what are believed to be the remains of a freighter in distress in the Gulf of Alaska. A large oil slick, some debris, and 4 swamped lifeboats seem to be all that's left of the Pac Rover and her 33-man Korean crew. Colombian police say 200 spectators were injured today in a town 25 miles from Bogota when the stands of a bull ring collapsed. A neighboring official said the number of dead in the accident was small, but he said many of the injured are in serious condition. A traveler's advisory is up for tonight around the Chicago area. The Weather Bureau calling for a mixture of drizzle or occasional freezing rain, snow in some areas. Driving and walking are both considered hazardous. And if tomorrow is back to work for you, it'll be cloudy and colder with a chance of flurries. Police in Winnetka are investigating the death of 24-year-old Nancy Pritzker, the daughter of prominent businessman attorney Jay Pritzker. The young woman was found dead in the garage of her family's home earlier today, apparently the victim of carbon monoxide poisoning. Secretary of State-elect Michael Howlett didn't let Christmas stop him from telling Illinois citizens how he plans to reorganize the Secretary of State's office when he takes over next month. In a statement released today, Howlett says he's taking the advice of a transition task force headed by former Governor Samuel Shapiro. The group recommended appointing 6 executive assistants to help Howlett and the deputy director of his office administrator 6 different areas of the Secretary of State's duties. Howlett also said he'll keep on studying the office to eliminate overlaps in duties and discover needed shifts in functions and responsibilities. And the wealthy president of the National Trust for Historic Preservation says the profit motive is destroying much of America's past. James Biddle says the nation should re-examine the principle that the best use of land is the most profitable use. He says that Americans must decide if we want to preserve what we have or if we just want to pave it over, high-rise it, and factory it. In sports, in the World Hockey Association tonight, the Chicago Cougars were victorious, beating Alberta 3-2. The victory was the Cougars' 3rd in a row. Also in the WHA, New England 8, New York 2, Cleveland 8, Philadelphia 0. In the NBA, Phoenix topped the Bulls 115-108. It was New York 113, Detroit 110, and Milwaukee topped Kansas City, Omaha 104-99. The traveler's advisory is in effect. WLS weather next.
Everybody likes the nice things at different times and different ways. Everybody likes the sunshine. Some like it peeping through the shade. All those good and real things find us, but they sometimes take a while to find us. Everybody likes the good times, sharing coke with lots of friends. Everybody likes the real things. It's the real thing in the back of your mind. What you're hoping to find. It's the real thing. Everybody likes the good times, sharing coke with lots of friends. It's the real thing. Coca-Cola. It's the real thing. Coca-Cola.
The fortunes for Coke.
WLS weather, a traveler's advisory in effect. Occasional freezing drizzle or drizzle mixed with snow tonight, making streets and highways slippery and hazardous. Cloudy, windy, and cold tomorrow, then cloudy and a little warmer on Wednesday. The low tonight 28, tomorrow's high 32, Wednesday's high 36. Chicago temperatures north 33, south 32, and in the loop 33 degrees at midnight.
WLS, Chicago. The Beatles story. Part of our Christmas gift to you. The Beatles story. 13 hours of rock, following the Beatles from the beginning to the end. The Beatles story from WLS and the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Chicago.
From the BBC in London, this is Brian Matthew presenting the ex-Beatles story. in 1972. The fairy story we set out to tell is almost told. In this, the final episode, we look at what's happening to John, Paul, George and Ringo today.
Don't you say it unless you mean it. Don't you do it unless you feel it. Don't take it unless you want it. Gotta hold out for the real thing. Once you've seen it, there's no confusion. Once you've been there, there's no illusion. All around the world they reach the same conclusion, that it's better with the real thing. It's the real thing. The sun in the back of your mind. The words I love them to find. There's no substitution for what really is true. There's nothing like the real thing. Coca-Cola. It's the real thing. Coke is. It's the real thing. Coca-Cola.
Fortunate for one of the real things, Coke.
Turning first to George, whose major achievement must be the results of the concert for Bangladesh.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd just like to say before we start off with the concert that to thank you all for coming here. And as you all know, it's a special benefit concert. We've got a good show lined up, I hope so. And, I'd like to introduce you to a few people up here. Everybody here came at very short notice, and some people even cancelled gigs to try and make it, and nobody was getting paid for anything. We got on drums, Ringo Starr. Also on drums, Jim Keltner. There's somebody on bass who many people have heard about, but they never actually seen him. Klaus Foreman. We've got a whole lot of guitarists. Mr. Jesse Ed Davis. A old friend of mine, Mr. Eric Clapton.
And so the introductions went on, reading like a pop who's who. Then, of course, it was time for the music. First, a brilliant display by Ravi Shankar and his friends, which will be appreciated when the film of the concert is seen by the fans. And then George singing to this great rhythm accompaniment, Wah Wah. Alan Klein, who produced the concert with George.
We just went out there to give them a show. You couldn't have put the show on. You know, I mean, the economics, if there were not going to be ancillary rights, if there was going to be no film and no record, that show costs, oh my God, don't ask. You know, but it didn't cost the charity anything, but the purpose was if you're going to do it, you do it right, and cost is not a factor, and that's one of the reasons. But if you have money, you can use it right, the proper use of money gives you power. And if you use that power well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's no different than the good use of political power.
Don't need to love him. You don't need no bed plan. You don't need no horoscope or a microscope. You don't miss your end. You open up your heart. Know what I mean? When people do this alone, it's a way for you to get clean. My child, in the name of the Lord, you'll be free. The Lord is waiting on you to wake and sleep. Child, in the name of the Lord, you'll be free. The Lord is waiting on you to wake and sleep. Don't need no passport, and you don't need no visa. You don't need to designate or to emigrate, boy, you come to Jesus. You open up your heart, see it right there. You always want the wealthy, you leave you with your God. My child, in the name of the Lord, you'll be free. The Lord is waiting on you to wake and sleep. Child, in the name of the Lord, you'll be free. The Lord is waiting on you to wake and sleep. Don't need no, you don't need no, you don't need no rosy beans or the luxury to see that you are poor. If you open up your heart, for me, if you get down below, or thinking I will free. All on the phone, everyone was in a General Motors. And the stock exchange is the only thing that's calling by the quota. But the Lord is waiting on you all the way. My child, in the name of the Lord, you'll be free.
I thought the beauty of that concert was that it was all just so rushed and so spontaneous. And once you get planning like a tour, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, loses the appeal. Like, I don't really want to go back into doing what we did all those years on the road, hotels and bad food and traveling and all that noise and aggravation. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing selective concerts now and then. And, I mean, I miss playing.
Yeah.
Because, that's a problem. It's nice to feel that you're singing a few songs and people are there enjoying it.
Really
to the Madison Square Garden ringing in our ears, we leave the fundraising career of George Harrison. The sales from the soundtrack album are approaching $6 million, and it's Alan Klein's prediction that it will eventually make $15 million for the special United Nations Children's Fund for relief of refugee children in Bangladesh. The profits from admission to the film are expected further to enrich the fund. And recently, in June, George Harrison, Ravi Shankar and Alan Klein were presented with the Child is the Father of the Man award by UNICEF because of the results of the Bangladesh concert.
It's the real thing in the back of your mind. What you're hoping to find is the real thing. It's the real thing. That's the way it should be. What the world wants to see is the real thing. People want to find this good thing. That's real life. See what real life can bring. For the taste of your life. That's the way it is. With a bottle of Coke and the way it should stay. What the world wants today. Is the real thing. Is the real thing. Is the real thing.
Billy Joe Royal for Coca-Cola.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This is Ralph Squires.
I'm Mary Jane Johnson.
This is John Gaylord.
I'm Helen Harmon.
This is Michael Cormick.
And I'm Dick Saint. And all of us at WLS wish you
Ringo's career has recently taken on a different aspect. His film Blind Man ran into trouble with the British film censors, and so he's become more involved as a director of Apple Films and the production side of filming. At the Cannes Film Festival in May, he talked to Sonia Beasley.
It started out where I was trying to get all the old sort of faith healers, country healers in Britain. I wanted to document them because I think they're dying out, and there'll be no more, with, the cure warts on cows or wherever, All the old farmers who can really cure things, and they whisper to horses and things like that, it's died out. That race is just disappearing. And I got some people together and we went out to try and find out about them, but they wouldn't be filmed because they said it was bad for the powers. It would take the power away from them. So that fell through. Then I thought, okay, well, we'll try some films and documentaries.
And now you've got the taste. You're going to go on making films.
Well, this year I'm forcing myself to go into the office every day. It's not bad in the winter, but when the sun's shining, it gets a bit heavy.
But is this really you, Ringo? I mean, being a sort of behind scenes, masterminding it all instead of being up there in front of the cameras?
Well, yes, it's all me, I enjoy being in front of them. That's easier. This is much harder because I spend every day talking to people to try and get them involved in what I'm doing. I'm directors. I don't do everything. I've just got together a director for a feature film we're going to do. But I had to talk to like 5 directors, and some of them hated the idea of the story. Some of them liked it. Some of them couldn't get out of the commitments they were in. You have to talk to writers. I mean, you just talk to people every day, and people knock on the door every day saying, I've got this script, I'd like you to do it, or whatever. So you see everybody. And you just decide what you want to do, and then you've got to get it together. And I don't mind it. We have some good times and some bad times, but on the whole, it's usually good.
So why have you decided to take the hard way, as it were? I mean, you could sit back and make the odd...
I don't know how to do it, and I thought, I'll try it and see what it's like. So I've given myself a year, and I may hate it at the end of the year, and then I won't do it anymore. I'll go back on the other side.
But
I like doing it all. It's interesting to find out, you think it's easy. It's like people watch a movie for an hour and a half, which I do, and it's true, it's what you should do. You think, oh, it only took them an hour and a half to make. I watch a film and it's reality. It took the film takes an hour and a half from beginning to end, and that's all I listen, I'm not interested in rehearsals and hassles and all that when I watch the product. But a lot goes on that you have to sort out,
And since he recorded that interview, Ringo has been directing a film about Mark Bolan and all the ballyhoo surrounding the success of T-Rex.
May do a bit of his poetry, which has never been out. No one's ever, he's never done that before. We've got a few sketches we're going to do.
It's like the Tom Jones show, in fact.